free.
While Chatal wrestles with the thought of killing a crab, others have no problem at all.
When you let them go free, your mind becomes very happy.
Hello, Bezel 333. Remember that John Lennon song, Instant Karma? Now, karma is a word that means action. It's used to describe acts of the will and the consequences that result from those acts. Good actions result in a good state of being, while bad actions, of course, result in a bad state of being. Now, the Buddhist law of karma teaches that what we are today is a direct result of what we did and thought and said in past lives. Likewise, what we are today will determine what we will be in the future. Now, this idea of karma leads to countless rebirths as one continues to walk the wheel of life, and the whole point of Buddhism is to get off that wheel of death and rebirth. But for those who fail to extinguish their passions and desires, which according to Buddhism are the source of all suffering, these rebirths will occur over and over again. This process continues until the state of nirvana, the state of utter freedom from anything, is achieved. Now, with this simplified definition of karma in mind, I want to look at some things that a well-known American monk and higher meditation teacher said regarding karma.
That it's kind of an interesting thing, because sometimes women can have a baby, and the baby only lives for a very short time, and then dies. And they wonder, why? It's not the woman's fault that the baby died very young. It's that being. In their past life, they killed other beings, so they didn't live very long.
Now, this has got to be one of the most glaring internal inconsistencies within Buddhist thought, and here's why. In Buddhism, there is no personal self, and therefore no soul. We humans are simply a stream of consciousness that borrows or latches onto an ego or identity from the things we learn as children and our memories. But if there's no personal self or being that is personally responsible for specific actions and their consequences, then how can this baby suffer the retributive effects of specific actions the baby had nothing to do with? I mean, you can see the problem here even with the monk's use of words. He says the baby is a being, which in itself implies differentiation and separateness, and then he says this being in their past life, killed other beings. Again, other implies distinction of being. Now, the other large problem with this idea of karma and rebirth is just who or what is adjudicating and administering this system of cause and effect. Lacking any idea of an ultimate lawgiver or God in Buddhism, who is to say that the things mentioned in the Eightfold Path are either good or bad? The Buddha says that one should earn one's living in a righteous way. But where is the Buddha getting the standard of what righteousness is? It indeed may be preferable to be nicer to others, but if I am not, then where is Buddhism getting the standard that I will be punished in the next life by dying as a baby? And one more thing. Let's say it's true that I killed other beings and I die, and I get reborn because I killed in my last life, and now I only live 5 days, and now I die as a baby. What happens now? I just lived a perfect life for 5 days doing absolutely nothing wrong. Now, do I get a free ticket to nirvana, or do I continue to pay for my crime of killing other beings in an endless succession of rebirths, dying as an infant? See, if you are a Buddhist, perhaps you can help me out here. Oh, and one more thing. If a baby dies, then I guess we shouldn't care or grieve the loss of that child. The being is simply getting what they deserve, experiencing the Buddhist law of cause and effect. Now, you and I know that this is silly. Even an unknown baby found in a dumpster is grieved over by people who had no connection to that baby. Time and effort is spent to find the person responsible for abandoning that baby. And why? Because of the inherent dignity of the loss of a personal human life. Now, let's see what this monk has to say about choosing a lobster or a crab at a restaurant for your dinner.
Now, the animals, let's say the lobsters or crabs, they're in a restaurant. When you ask for this one or that one, you are taking part in that being's death. And that is bad karma for you.
Now, this monk has just made a moral judgment regarding someone who chooses a live crab for dinner at a restaurant. He indicates that doing this will make you just as responsible as the one who tosses the crab into the pot, and it will be bad karma for you. But then he says there's something you can do that will cause you to have good karma.
But if you say, I want this one, but I want you to keep him alive, I want to take him home, and then you let him go free, what is happening in that lobster's mind? The lobster knows that it's caught. The lobster knows that it's going to be killed.
Now, from what you're about to hear, I have to think that this monk must have a degree in crustacean psychology.
So the lobster has a lot of fear and is very much afraid. And then somebody comes in and they grab them. Oh, they're very, very sad.
The lobster knows it's going to be killed and it's afraid and fearful and sad? You know, what is happening here is the monk is using anthropomorphisms to project human feelings on an animal with a very tiny brain and a simple nervous system. They don't have the ability to be emotional, but rather exist by reacting to outside stimulus solely by programmed instinct.
Then you take that lobster out to the ocean and you let that lobster go back in the ocean. What have you done? That lobster has gone from the worst day in their life. They knew they were going to be killed. They had a lot of fear. They had a lot of anxiety. And now you let them go free. They went from the worst day in their life to the best day.
Really? So you let the lobster go free and it's very happy you cared for it so much, and then a day later it gets slowly absorbed by an octopus. Gee, perhaps that boiling pot of water wasn't so bad after all. Does this sound as silly to you as it does to me? Now, let's clear a few things up. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and according to the standard of righteousness that Jesus himself agreed with, I can kill and eat fish and have the God-given authority to do so. You know, after the worldwide flood in Genesis chapter 9, God makes a covenant with Noah and blesses Noah and his son. It reads as follows, "And God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. The fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth and upon every bird of the heavens, upon everything that creeps on the ground and all the fish in the sea. Into your hand they are delivered. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you, and I've given you the green plants, I give you everything." Now, this monk goes on to say that he knew of a woman with cancer in Malaysia who started buying bait fish and let them go free, and by doing only this one thing, her cancer went away. But what he says here, I think, is very helpful in understanding the difference between what the Buddha offers a person and what Jesus Christ offers a person.
I know some people that have cancer, and they want to let go of the cancer, so they want to be healthy. They don't want to die. So they let these animals go and let go of the worry about the cancer. And the merit that they make for giving life comes back to them.
The fact is that one day we're all going to die. No one gets out of here alive. People will try just about anything in order to get better. Secondly, and most importantly, this monk indicated that by giving life to the bait fish, this woman merited life for herself. In other words, good karma equals life. But you know what? This is exactly what the Bible calls works righteousness. And what does the Bible say about works righteousness? It says that if you want to be righteous, conform to the law of God. The sixth commandment says don't murder. But Jesus says that even if we have harbored a bad thought about someone else, we have broken this commandment. Romans 3:20, "For by the works of the law no human being will be justified in his sight." Now, it's clear that meriting won't do it. The standard's too high. However, the Bible says something else that is the best news a person who knows they can't keep the law of God can hear, and that's Romans 4:5. "To the one who does not work, but believes in Jesus who justifies ungodly people, his faith is counted as righteousness."